What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of That Franchise Guy Picks. Just a couple announcements before we jump into the picks this week. I've gotten enough feedback and I am going to go ahead and do this new series where I'm going to basically break down Madden Plays little film room session. So you can look forward to at least one of those videos this week. And then as I did not have a picks video last week, remember you can always get my picks on Twitter at TFG_football. So in the last 2 weeks, we've done okay, definitely dropped off as we were basically sitting in week 9 providing the best picks on the internet, absolutely killing it. Not necessarily bad over the last few weeks, but we went 16-10 overall, 4-7 calling upsets, which is much more realistic. If you remember, I said I wanted to just go 500. So we're 23-13 predicting upsets this year, which has been great. And then we went 1-1 on my locks. And when I say locks, I want to clarify, these are basically my favorite picks of the week, the bets that I'm actually making that I would suggest you do. So we're 5-2 on locks this year. And then basically, I'm not going to do gimmies either. You know, I'm not going to call the Chiefs a lock this week, even though I don't think there's any way they lose. A little spoiler there. So if you see the little lock symbol, no, either I really like them as an underdog, or if I give the lock to a team that is favored, that means I like them with the spread as well. So without further ado, let's get into the picks here for week 11. So we went with Pittsburgh for the Thursday night game. That one definitely could have been a lock if I really put thought into it. You know, just an inexperienced team, young team going into a veteran Super Bowl contender team in a primetime game. That's usually a pretty big lock for the veteran team. And then Baltimore going to Green Bay. I know it seems like I'm picking Green Bay every single week, but I just kind of like them against defensive teams right now. I think Baltimore's pretty similar to Chicago, what we saw last week. I think Green Bay pulls out a low-scoring game, gets the upset this week. Detroit at Chicago. Not going to be an easy game for Detroit, but I think they're kind of on a bit of a roll offensively. That receiving core is real good, so I'll take Detroit. Would not be terribly surprised if Chicago pulled the upset. Kansas City at the Giants. I was close to making this a lock. You know, the Giants are pretty much playing to get their coach fired, so I like betting against them. They've been the best team to bet against this entire year. So throw your Chiefs in your parlays, but I'm not quite comfortable with the 10.5. 10, I would maybe consider it, but that's a lot of points for a road team, so I don't love the spread there, but I think you'd probably be able to get away with it. Washington at New Orleans. I'll take New Orleans, but I do think Washington covers in this one. They are 8-point underdogs. New Orleans absolutely on a roll right now, though I don't see it stopping this week at home. This is the game of the week right here, the Rams at the Vikings. This one could go either way. The Rams, I don't think have really proven themselves against legitimate competition yet. I think this might be a bit of a handful for Jared Goff and this offense. The defense has been pretty good, but they do have holes really across the board. I think the Vikings are going to pull this one out, like a 20-16 game. Should be a real good one, though. Tampa Bay at Miami. This is that game that was rescheduled from the Hurricanes in week 1, and both these teams really trending downwards. Tampa Bay did get a win last week, however. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Arizona at Houston. Now, this is my only lock this week. I really like this bet. It's about the time of the year where teams really do start giving up. Houston, with all the injuries, got absolutely blown out last week. So I'm going to take Arizona, even though it's it's hard to bet on a team that isn't that great. But I think defensively, Arizona gets the job done. And go into Houston, get the upset there. Jacksonville at Cleveland. I'll take Jacksonville. Any given week, though, you could see an upset against Blake Bortles and Jacksonville. And then Buffalo at the Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers. They're pretty heavy favorites in this one. Now, you guys know I love Nathan Peterman, so I wouldn't be terribly surprised if Buffalo looks a lot better than we expect, but that is not an easy defense to go up against in your rookie debut, so I'm going to go with the Chargers. Such a good pass rush out there. New England at Oakland. I'm going to go New England. They're 7.5-point favorites. I think if it were 7, I would take the spread and call this a lock. New England really rolling on all cylinders right now, but Oakland's definitely going to want to get up and play hard for this one, so this one should be a battle. Cincinnati at Denver. I like Cincinnati in this one. I was close to making this a lock. I feel pretty good about this as an upset. Now, Cincinnati played pretty well in Tennessee last week, while Denver has just been atrocious offensively. So I think Cincinnati, in a low-scoring game, is going to be able to get just enough points, just more playmakers, and their defense is actually pretty solid. Philly at Dallas. I'm going to take Philly, not quite a lock, but Dallas in that left tackle situation, Tyron Smith's out. I think if Philly wins and covers, I think they're going to win pretty big. So maybe look at an alternate spread like 14.5, like a real blowout. But I do think there's a chance Dallas comes and shows up to play for this one, and it turns into a pretty great Sunday night game. We'll see, though. Atlanta at Seattle now. Seattle gets the Cam Chancellor injury, and I don't know what Seattle's going to look like this year, but Atlanta has been terribly inconsistent. I'm going to take Seattle in this one, but I don't feel great about it. Atlanta went into Seattle and played pretty well last year, and this time obviously without Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor. This one could really go either way, but Russell Wilson has been absolutely killing it. So I'm going to stick with Seattle and Russell Wilson to pull off some miracles there. So that does it for the picks this week. Let's get these upsets back on track and keep going with the best picks on YouTube here. So like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe. Cheers, everyone. Good luck. We'll see you next week.